Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We're back to the show, and we appreciate everybody who has been rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks who are checking in with us, who have been checking with us all night on Facebook Live, as well as on legacyinternetradio.com and on TuneIn, and the replays on SoundCloud and iTunes and YouTube. Y'all rock with us. We roll with y'all. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial to be a part of tonight's discussion. I want to kind of change this directions just a little bit, and I'm sure based on where we're going to go here, we'll still kind of touch a little bit about on the happenings in Charlottesville. But what I want to do is I want to try to connect some of the social issues that we're seeing with each other. Obviously Charlottesville, but I want to talk to you, Coach, because these next three guys that we're going to talk about here in this segment, ladies, I want you guys in on this as well, because this is not X's and O's, even though I know you both like football, but this isn't X's and O's football. These are social stories about people who happen to be in the National Football League. But Colin Kaepernick obviously is not on an NFL team right now because of his protest by not standing for and respecting the national anthem and the United States flag during last football season. Now, I did a quick hit on YouTube and Facebook Live last week. My opinion on the boycott and Colin Kaepernick is well known. I will restate it here in this segment, but I want to have an opportunity for you guys to state it because, Tony, you've been here throughout this whole time, and you and I have had conversation about it on the air and off. Coach, I know as a sports talk show, you have had your opinions on it. And, of course, Tamika, you and I have talked about this stuff as well. But my point is I'm not sure that this unit, this four, has had an opportunity to do it on the airways of Legacy Internet Radio, and certainly not on Ain't No Half Step on Marcus J. So I think it's a unique opportunity for us to kind of have a bit of this discussion. And this segment is not about Colin Kaepernick. He's just a part of it. So the question that's on the floor now, and I want you all to get into it, is with the happenings in Charlottesville over the last couple of days and knowing what we know about the climate of the country, does it change how you feel about what has gone on and what is going on with Colin Kaepernick? And in your answer, I want you to state your feelings on a potential boycott of the National Football League on behalf of Colin Kaepernick. Coach, you're up first. What you got?
I think people really understand now the scope of why he did what he did as far as the sitting, well, at the time, sitting for the national anthem. I think when people look at it, I don't know if people are going to look at it from what we've already knew when he did it last August. We knew, of these type of situations as to why he sat for the national anthem. Now, as far as the potential, for the boycott or what have you, and I can piggyback on what you were saying, Marcus, the other day, as far as on your quick hits. If you want to boycott, you have to do something about it. Because I know a lot of people were saying certain things, and I'm not going to watch it. Well, now watching it is not going to do anything because the TV companies are already making their money. And if we want to, as far as we have to do your homework. Like as far as you made a great point too the other day is, if you're, say for instance, you want to boycott a certain sponsor of the league, but if they have a 5 or 10 year deal, there's no need to boycott that because that money's already there. If you have a contract, say for instance, if a certain company is in their final year of their deal, then that's when you hit them with, you have to hit them strategically. And that's one thing a lot of people, they say they want to boycott, but it's more so what's the end game? If you do it, okay, well, and I've heard people even say crazy stuff like, well, watch it in groups so it affect the ratings, but the ratings are already there. These companies these networks are paying billions of dollars to air the NFL on their network, and that money's going nowhere. Just because if 10 of us decide to watch it in one room, compared to, so I think it was, it's dumb, but like you said, you provided some very strategic strategies, certain ways to move if you want to go that way,
No, I appreciate that. I'll kind of restate what I said here in just a moment. I want to get the ladies' opinions. Tamika and Tony, Tamika, you up first. How do you relate, if at all, what Colin Kaepernick has gone through and is going through with what has happened in Charlottesville over the last few days?
Well, I mean, I think Charlottesville just solidifies the things that Colin Kaepernick has been saying all along. And as far as boycotting is concerned, I agree. You need to have a purpose to your boycott. Just not watching it is not enough. How many of you are season pass holders? How many of you have already, I've seen people already wearing the NFL gear, the t-shirts, the sweatpants, it appears that we are the biggest purchasers of NFL paraphernalia, okay? Be it a lanyard for your keychain, a bumper sticker for your car. All these little things end up going back in their pockets. And me personally, I just can't. I'm over the NFL, and I'm an avid Giants fan, but I'm over it because we're good enough to be your source of entertainment, dance, puppet dance. But as soon as we do something and the world is like, oh wait, yeah, you are black, then you're on the naughty bench, and that's where you remain forevermore. And I don't think that is right. I'm beyond fed up with it. And I need our people to know and recognize that our biggest source of power is our money. We didn't get the rights and the advancements that we got in the 60s because people thought, oh, black people are people too, we should love them. It's because we kept our money in our pockets. We walked with the Montgomery bus boycott. We boycotted hotels.
We sacrificed.
We did all these things. We came together as a people. We provided where we were lacking in avoiding these services, and we just kept it moving. If you really have to have your football fix, watch the NCAA. I mean, do something else. There's a lot of other things that you can do to occupy your time. And that's just it. People are going to hear things. People are going to see a score on TV. They're not going to be able to stand firm enough to outlast this all the way through February. But we have to. If we want to make a change, we have to outlast it. And you have to hit them in their pockets. Stop buying tickets. Stop making hotel reservations for the Super Bowl. People have already bought Super Bowl tickets. Sell your tickets. Find bigger ways to make an impact.
I think your position is well thought out and very very concisely articulated. So I appreciate that. Tony, same question for you.
What she said. It is about that dollar, because nobody will sign him because they don't want to lose that money. They don't want to lose their jobs. So that goes both ways. And even, if like you talked about not watching it, if 10 people watch it, what do people do on Sundays when the game is on? They go to a restaurant.
Right.
They eat wings and drink beers. If we stop doing that, somebody's going to be like, hey, this has got to stop. Because while y'all may be making millions of dollars, all the TGI Fridays are going out of business, and the other sports bars that everybody frequents on Sundays or whatever games, night, Monday, Tuesday, whenever the games come on, we can do something about it. But it's just a matter of, it's football. It's entertainment.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not anything it's not a necessity.
Right.
True.
Let me get these comments in. Jackie says, thank you, Jackie, by the way, for what you did for me earlier today and for listening and participating now. When someone has our back, we have theirs, hashtag Kaepernick. Our sister Dee Dee says, will people continue to boycott the NFL next season? Or if Cap gets picked up, what about the sponsors if you're still ordering Papa John's and buying Nalia?
That's true.
And Jackie says, until he gets picked up. Here's the elephant in the room. Most of the people who are talking about boycotting on behalf of Colin Kaepernick don't even know the whole story. You think you know, but you don't. Because you can tell by the things that you say and how you say them that you don't know. So here's what you don't know. Colin Kaepernick had a contract for this season for $12 million that he opted out. It was a player option. Wasn't a team option. It was a player option. He was not cut from the team. He quit his job.
Right.
Colin Kaepernick quit his job. Now, those of us in the middle class know how stupid it is to quit your job when you ain't got another job. You just don't do that.
I did it.
Okay, well, it
Well,
wasn't
yeah,
a smart
but-
thing. It's never a smart thing to quit your job without a plan. Now, you can do that in emotion. I hate this job. I quit. You know what
Well,
I'm
in his
saying?
case-
We all understand that.
But yeah,
You know
but
what I
in
mean?
his
Like
case-
we all understand kicking the trash can out the door at work,
Right.
saying I hate this place. I quit. Like we all understand that, and I can dig it. And there's no shade for Tony or anybody else who's ever done that. But my personal opinion is it's not smart to do that. It's just not. It's not smart to leave your livelihood when you don't have something to replace that. Because while you're upset and emotional and you feel good in that moment when you just walked out after having kicked the trash can, when you get home and you got to think about how you're going to pay tuition and car notes and mortgages and all of that kind of stuff. And it's for middle class folks. Colin Kaepernick's all right. He done made $50 million in his life. He's all right. Trust me. He's not eating out the trash can behind the local Applebee's. He's just not doing that. Having said all of that, I understand those folks who want to boycott. I can dig it. Totally can dig it, because when I when I went on live the other day, I made this point. I made the point about Colin Kaepernick is probably, he's a weird kind of example, because he's an example of someone that stood up for us. And I said then, yo, the dude held us down, so I understand folks wanting to hold him down. But he made a lot of mistakes here. He made a lot of mistakes here. And the biggest one he made is he quit his job. Now, if he had been cut, I would be 100% with you. 100% with you. But he wasn't cut. He wasn't cut. He quit his job. He quit his job. He opted out of a $12 million contract. His choice. So I need to make that clear, because you got a lot of folks who want to be so woke and conscious they got insomnia.
Right.
You so woke, but you're not paying attention to the whole story. And the whole story is Colin Kaepernick quit his job.
Yeah.
And he got the whole country rallying around him. And he ain't saying nothing now because he know he quit his job.
Right.
Now, here's the other thing. Middle class and poor people got to always be the one that come to the defense of rich people.
Right.
We always got to be the ones that come to the defense of rich people. Now, I realize that this is bigger than Colin Kaepernick. It's about how the NFL be treating people terribly, like they got the worst, weakest, players union in the history of professional sports. They don't stand up for nobody. I can dig it. And you're right, and it's bigger than Colin Kaepernick, and there are plenty of reasons if you want to boycott the NFL that you should boycott the NFL. I got you. But Colin Kaepernick made a lot of mistakes, and he's probably not the poster child for this. I mean, we're talking about this is again how you don't pay attention, people. You talking about all of these teams who had quarterbacks that aren't as good as him, and why didn't this one sign him, and why didn't that one sign him, and Miami had an opening, and why did they sign Jay Cutler? Maybe they didn't sign Colin Kaepernick because he was walking around with a shirt of Fidel Castro on.
No. Right.
In Miami is not going to sign a guy who's supporting Fidel Castro.
Right.
So I got you woke people. I got you fist in the air people. But this is the problem that I often have. I'm going to get you in here in a second, Coach. Let me finish this point. This is the problem that I have sometimes with conscious woke folk, because everything is not a fist in the air moment. Everything is not a fist in the air moment. Sometimes you got to think, and sometimes you got to be strategic in your actions. And when I said in the quick hit the other day, Coach, that you were watching, is my deal is not so much those national contracts. These people already got their money. These people who got the NFL Sunday ticket, they already got their money. Their money's already spent. It's gone. So you're not going to watch the game when you've already paid for the game. So what you going to do? You're going to call up DirecTV and ask for your money back? You're not. You just not. What about the Nielsen ratings? I've been a Nielsen family, so I know how this works. I've been a Nielsen family. So you got one person that's supposed to represent 10,000 people in the neighborhood. So the one person don't watch, so he don't put the NFL on his paper, or it doesn't register in his cable box, right? Mm-hmm. But that other 10,000 people, irrelevant. Don't even matter whether you watch or you don't watch. Doesn't matter. NFL don't care. You know why? Because they already got their money. Now, if you want to boycott something, then figure out what the local the local team is for your area. Right here in Richmond, Virginia, is the Washington Redskins and the Baltimore Ravens. So if you want to boycott something, boycott their local sponsors, not the national NFL sponsors, not the national NFL sponsors, the local team sponsors, and rally outside those stadiums so that those owners can see you and see that you're not happy that he has not signed a player who quit his job. Ain't no half-step on Marcus J. Live from the Dan Legacy Internet Radio. Didi says, thanks for the clarification. I didn't know he opted out. Not a 49ers fan, but I definitely stand behind and beside him for taking a stand against police brutality. Totally agree with that. Charlene says, didn't know he was given a contract and did not and declined. That changes everything. He wasn't given a contract and declined. He had a contract that he was under last season, and this season. The current season that we're in right now, his unemployed season, he was already signed for that. In sports, oftentimes you'll get a contract that is what's called an option. And that option can be one of three things: a player option, a team option, a mutual option. A player option means if the player wants to stay on the team, the player gets to stay on the team. No questions asked. The team option is the team wants you, the team will pick up the option, you get to have a job. And the mutual option is what it sounds like. He had a player option that he declined because he bet on himself. Nobody would blame him, because you get a player option because you expect to have a big year, and next year you're going to make more money on the free agent market because you had a good year last year. Strategically, realizing what he had done and realizing that people wasn't feeling him, he declined his option. It was incredibly stupid of him to do that. He should have picked up the option, and if the team cut him, then he would have an argument, in my opinion. Coach, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jump in here now.
And like you said, and this is kind of to go back to the Miami situation, and you know, as far as we know that Miami signed Jay Cutler. And, you know, and they had to break it down X's and O's because a lot of people, we call, like you say, the woke folk. And they didn't understand, like, football is almost like a language. Like, okay, it's like if you're hiring for a company and the company only hiring for people that speak Spanish, and Jay Cutler speaks Spanish and Colin Kaepernick he speaks English, and Colin Kaepernick speaks English and Jay Cutler speaks Spanish. So they're going to go for the person who speaks Spanish. And these are guys who have played Division I football that was like, I'm the crazy one. And that's like you're saying, to take the emotion out of it. And then what was so weird, and something that I kind of thought about in hindsight, which I feel kind of irresponsible for that, even bringing this up last year, how we should have been more outraged. I don't know if you remember this, Marcus, but Brandon Marshall, the linebacker for the Denver Broncos, he kneeled, and he lost one of his sponsorships.
Yeah. I wasn't familiar with that, but
and I remember that because I think it was like after the first week of the NFL season,
right.
I think it was like an insurance company or something. They dropped him.
Well, talk to me, since we're talking about people who are standing for something by kneeling. Yeah. Let's talk about Marshawn Lynch. Explain to the folks what's going on with Marshawn Lynch right now.
Well, of course, Marshawn Lynch, now he's the Oakland Raiders running back. Actually, he sat down the other night in their exhibition game against the Cardinals. And it was interesting because before the game, he told his coach Jack Del Rio that pretty much he's been doing this for X amount of years, and Jack Del Rio was very complimentary with it. He pretty much said that he understands what as far as his stance or whatever, and that and Jack Del Rio is very about the national anthem. He's for it, but he said he understands as a man that he's I'm gonna give him respect as a man. So he gave him pretty much the green light to do it.
I can dig it. Yeah, but you got to also remember, thank you, Charlene, by the way. I appreciate you listening and supporting us, Charlene. We appreciate you. And our sister Makita, who joined us earlier in the show, is listening, and she's saying, yes, preach. So I guess she is digging the stuff that we said. And our sister Lady Z, she enjoyed what you said earlier to me, because she said, yes, what she said. Just like you said, Tony. Yeah, what she said. So Marshawn Lynch is also deciding that he's sitting, and apparently his coach has decided to support him. And I'd be curious to see what kind of support we see around the league, because there's a very famous picture from the 1960s where you see Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown are supported and flanked by other prominent black athletes of their time. This was right after Muhammad Ali was stripped of the title for refusing to go into the United States draft. And so you saw people like Bill Russell. Imagine what the Celtics would have looked like without Bill Russell. Imagine what Major League Baseball would have looked like without Curt Flood. And imagine, what the Cleveland Browns would have looked like without Jim Brown. You know what I'm saying? And so these people realizing that it's a us thing. If they come for Tony, then Tamika and Marcus and Coach have to stand up for her. If they come for one of us, we all have to stand up. They understood that in those days. And so my question is, I got you, LeBron. I saw your tweet about, what happened, but have you done anything more than tweet? What have you done? Now, I've always been very clear about calling folks out. I don't really typically call LeBron out because he's about it. He's about it. He just happened to be the first name that came to my mind, but he's about it. He spends his money on people, and he lets you see him do it. And I've always been one who says that we are very open about supporting you. Like, we make sure that everybody, we wear our pants a certain kind of way so that you can see the jump man on our Jordans. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We make sure that, we have our shirt pulled up so you can see the Tommy Hilfiger belt buckle. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we do. Yeah. And so if we can be open about letting people see who we support, then those people have an obligation, in my opinion, to be open about support. Like, don't go make a basketball court in your name, because that's not going to benefit nobody. You know what I mean? But if you own a piece of property and you allow people to do certain things on your property that'll be beneficial to them as individuals as well as the community around that piece of property, then that's about it. Yeah. It's cool, Oprah. I dig that you got a school. It just happens to be in Africa and not Chicago where you made your money. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I can dig it. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about it. Ain't no how to step with Marcus J. live from the Den Legacy Internet Radio. Last thing I want to get to in this segment, a little bit of a sensitive subject. This one's about Eziekiel Elliot. Coach, I'm gonna lean on you again. Bring this one to the listeners. And what are we talking about with Eziekiel Elliot? Who is he? And then give us a little history.
The Dallas Cowboys running back. So of course Friday he was suspended for 6 games for the NFL quote unquote conduct. The violation of the conduct policy. So, of course, the NFL launched about a year-long investigation to a domestic violence dispute with him and his ex-girlfriend. And during the findings, they found several things, several pieces of evidence, including certain bruises and certain pictures depicting of her being victim of abuse, certain accounts of him beating up a DJ, and other alleged type of things happening. And of course, this stuff happened prior to him being in the NFL. This happened when he was at Ohio State University. And so pretty much a lot of people are crying foul because of the fact that this happened so long ago, that the NFL and the fact that he wasn't charged for a crime back at that time when he was in college.
So basically, let me get this straight. And this ain't even about fanship and none of that stuff. You know me, I don't hate anybody. I sports hate, I sports hate the Dallas Cowboys and the Boston Red Sox. I sports hate them. Mm-hmm. It's all in fun. One of my 5 favorite players of all time was Michael Irvin, and he played for the Cowboys. Don't judge me, but I love the playmaker. Having said all of that, this ain't got nothing to do with the Dallas Cowboys. He just happened to play for them. So he's basically got suspended for allegedly beating up his girlfriend.
Pretty much.
and there's evidence that says that he did it.
Yeah, and also even though they try to add this too, they added somewhat of a wrinkle of him. He was at a St. Patrick's Day parade this year, and it showed him pretty much taking a woman's shirt off and exposing her breasts.
So he's basically, by most accounts, he's kind of an asshole. Basically,
For the most part,
basically.
Yeah.
So let me just kind of spell out his suspension.
Yeah.
He harmed his girlfriend, but all of this went down prior to him being a member of the National Football League and the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
The police in question deemed the young woman to be not credible and decided not to charge him.
Correct.
Because there was some inconsistencies with her statements.
Yes.
And this all happened somewhere around a year before he ended up in the National Football League. True or false?
True.
All right. Couple of different things that I want to say to this. And ladies, I want y'all to come behind me. I normally let y'all go first, but I want y'all to come behind me on this one. Couple of things. One, you put your hands on a lady, I would be okay with a decapitation of your hand. Is that the right way you're supposed to? Not a decapitation. That's when they cut your head off. Amputation. Amputation. I don't know. I don't want them. I don't want them to behead him. Sorry.
Right.
Like don't behead him. I meant to say
a small incision.
yeah, amputation. You know what I mean? Like real talk. Like all jokes out. Like if you can, to me, in my opinion, if you can prove that you beat up somebody. Yeah. Like your lady or your kid, I would be okay with them like removing a pinky or something.
Yeah, because
like,
which was the
with
weirdest
no
thing.
anesthesia.
And the weirdest thing about the case was that the judge, they thought that there was some type of physical abuse going on, but of course they didn't try him.
Right. So the police couldn't charge her, but the NFL was like, we feel like there's enough here, so you gotta go. 6 games.
Yeah.
I can dig it. Now, Josh Brown of the New York Football Giants, he beat the hell out of his wife to the point where she called the team and was like, help me, he crazy. How many games he get, Coach?
1.
He got 1 game suspension. One. And the Giants knew, and the only reason why this went public is because it got leaked. The Giants knew the whole time.
Yeah.
So this dude beats up his lady. Everybody knows it, and the team knows it. He gets a 1-game suspension. Giants end up cutting him because they didn't want the bad publicity. But they knew all of this beforehand. Right. Yeah. And they were going to keep him until it went public. Yeah. Whereas Eziekiel Elliot does what he did prior to being on the team, and the police decide not to sign him. Yeah. Charge him. And he got 6 games. Help me understand that.
And the weird thing about Josh Brown, going back to that they knew about it because during the Pro Bowl they had an incident that happened in the Pro Bowl
at the hotel,
and the NFL ordered them to an extra room for the wife.
Yeah,
so they knew that was going on.
Was he like chasing her through the hotel, screaming at her,
and all kind of stuff, and even the whole thing about him at one point saying that his wife was his slave.
Right.
I mean, it was that crazy, and this isn't, I would call, a post Ray Rice situation where we're going to implement this whole 6-game suspension prior.
That's
this is when it really started,
and that's where I was leading to. Right. And I'm glad you brought that up because we saw, what Ray Rice did, and he would be like the number 1 candidate for that hand amputation that I was referring to a few minutes ago. Right. Like the way he struck her was so difficult to see. Like it doesn't matter what she said to you, it doesn't matter what she did. I mean, it just, to me, it doesn't matter. You just don't do that, to a woman and to a child. Josh Brown gets a game. Eziekiel Elliott gets 6 games. Now, here's how I want to connect it to everything else, right? Mm-hmm. The NFL and a lot of the people are outraged that Colin Kaepernick did not stand for the national anthem, but somebody like Eziekiel Elliott, who, he's not charged, but the league feels like he did something wrong. He's getting suspended, but he's not losing his job. Now, he didn't quit his job like Colin Kaepernick did. But my question is, ladies and others, 804-402-2893, if we're going to protest the National Football League because Colin Kaepernick quit his job and nobody is going to hire him anymore because he's going to basically have the fan bases be pissed, and they don't want him there, so they won't hire him. And I'm saying it that way, mostly to kind of piss off the people who want to boycott, but also because that's just kind of the way it is. Are you going to boycott the NFL for having a league full of rapists and murderers and wife beaters and all kinds of stuff? What's the football player that was drunk driving and ran the guy down in Miami a few years ago?
Oh, Dante Stallworth.
Yeah, you know,
he killed him.
He killed a guy. He's still in the league. You know, like now, you know, what's the dude with the ridiculous dance that retired from Baltimore? What's his name?
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis.
Matter of fact, he was a part of the so-called panel to bring in Dante Stallworth in.
But he himself was charged for attempted murder. Right. Now, we know he didn't actually kill anybody. He was one of those people who got charged because he was there. But the reality is, these are the people not only who are in the league, but he's in the think tank of trying to decide what happens to Colin freaking Kaepernick.
Right.
So are we going to, boycotters, are we going to boycott the league that employs people who beat up their girlfriends? Should we not boycott the league for that? Should we not boycott the league because Dante Stallworth was able to get a job and he shouldn't because he killed somebody? Should we boycott a league that would hire someone who spent years in a federal penitentiary for dogfighting? Peter, y'all was pissed about that. So should we boycott the league because they have people who have spent time in federal penitentiary? Like, if we're going to be consistent, then we need to be consistent. Because don't talk to me about boycotting the National Football League when you're standing in Walmart looking at the highlights in the TV section. The same Walmart that was selling N-word brown lace front wigs on their website. Don't talk to me about boycotting the National Football League when you buying Chinese food through bulletproof glass. I don't want to talk to you about this because you're a hypocrite. So if you're going to be consistent across the board. I have no problem with boycotting any of those because guess what? I don't go to Chinese food restaurants. Guess where else I don't go? I don't go to Walmart. I don't. And I don't go to D.C. So my local football team is the Washington Redskins. And I don't support that team, nor do I support any of their local sponsors. My team's national is the New York Football Giants. And guess what? They got a two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback who's still in the prime of his career. And okay, maybe the back end of the prime. Coach just gave me this look. Maybe the back end of his prime. And they have two solid backups. They didn't need Colin Kaepernick. So I'm going to boycott my team because my team didn't hire him. Again, you got to be strategic with these boycotts. You got to be strategic with the boycott. So I'm boycott the whole league. We're going to go and march on August 23rd on the steps of the National Football League. But guess what? The National Football League is not the league, is not hiring people. They're not determining whose players go where. So if you want to boycott, you have to boycott the 32 teams and the stadiums and the owners and the sponsors. Marching at the NFL offices is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. The $150 jerseys that you rock, you're going to wear the soles out before you get a chance to wear them in front of your girl like you got money.
Right.
I just got a little bit on a soapbox, Coach.
It's true.
I'm sorry, man.
It's real.
It's
real.
We okay? We good?
It's real.
All right, cool.
It's real.
And you know how to step with Marcus J live from the den. Legacy Internet Radio. DD says, thank you, MJ. The NFL has been effed up forever. Our brother Trayvon, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for listening to us, and thank you for your service, my brother. Trayvon says, so everyone says patriotism and the flags and the troops, but no one questions the people who put the flags and troops into these countries fighting for nothing. What about their patriotism? I can dig it. Charlene says, most definitely we should be consistent and hold the NFL and all businesses and corporations accountable for being hypocritical. I'm sorry. Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J. I know the woke people, the conscious people, they have very, very strong issues with anybody that's black that don't agree with them, like call them names. Bring it. We got a phone. It's 804-402-2893. Call me up and call me whatever you want. Just make sure you say Marcus J after those names. Ain't no half-stepping with me and Couch Coach and Attorney Tamika as well as our sister Tony. We shall take our final break of the night, and when we come back, we're going to come in here and rant and close, and we're going to get on out of here because the reality is it's getting late, and I want to watch the Yankees. Be back in a few, y'all. Stay with us. This is Marcus J., founder and general manager of Legacy Internet Radio, where independence is key to building your legacy. You want to be part of the fastest growing internet radio station on the internet today? Join us and email us at legacyinternetradio.com, currently featuring sponsorship spots, internet radio show spots. Do you have a voice? Do you have something that you want to say? Do you have something special that you know needs to be heard? Well, you can join our fastest growing internet radio station on the internet, Legacy Internet Radio. Email us at legacyinternetradio@gmail.com for more information. That's legacyinternetradio@gmail.com. legacyinternetradio@gmail.com.